Whoa, 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 cha-cha on the ballroom beat. You got two left feet, get on the ballroom beat. They're dancing in the street, they're on the ballroom beat. We can tango, we can swing, we can do anything. Walking through the door and waltz on the floor. You wanna feel the heat, get on the ballroom beat. Cha-cha on the ballroom beat. Foxtrot on the ballroom beat. Salsa on the ballroom beat. Cha-cha on the ballroom beat.
Happy holidays and welcome to On the Ballroom Beat. I'm your host, Lania Berger, and I have a very special episode for you tonight. We have an interview with the chairman of the Arthur Murray International Dance Board, a former North American champion, a U.S. finalist, and the esteemed adjudicator at our Glass Slipper Gala. I am talking, of course, about the one, the only Mr. Bob Long. He was in town for our Glass Slipper Gala, and while he was here, he also did some coaching and some training for our staff and students, and took a little time to chat with me on the Ballroom Beat. Welcome to On the Ballroom Beat. I'm your host, Lania Berger, and with me today I have the chairman of the Arthur Murray International Dance Board, Bob Long. Welcome to the show, Bob.
Hello, Lania. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Listen, we've had a really exciting weekend with you here in Palm Harbor. You were the judge of our Glass Slipper Gala. You then did coaching with our students all day Saturday, coaching with our staff on Sunday. Can you tell us a little bit about how you felt the weekend went?
I thought the weekend was absolutely fabulous. First of all, your venue was amazing, and the ballroom looked like a castle on the inside. It was really, and then me being drawn in a pumpkin coach was over the top, but okay. It was great. I think that the students had a great time. I was really impressed with the quality level of the dancing of your staff as well as your students. You have some really wonderful students and teachers here.
Thank you so much, Bob. Thank you. Well, they have had a delightful time working with you. About you. We want to learn about the man behind the myth here.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how you got started in ballroom dancing.
Oh boy. Well, it's been a long time. I think I've been with Arthur Murray now going on close to 38 years now with Arthur Murray. But I started as a kid in training class. I didn't know how to dance at all when I first started. I was going to be a professional football player. That's really what I wanted to do. And I was a pretty good high school football player, and I was going to go to the Naval Academy and play football. And a friend of mine and I saw Saturday Night Fever when it came out. And we saw John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever and says, oh my God, I have to learn to do this disco stuff. And we started going to some of the nightclubs and watching people dance and do hustle. And within a week, my friend saw an ad in the paper that says, learn to do the hustle for free. I was like, wow, we don't have to pay for the lessons. That's great. And it was an Arthur Murray training class ad. And they were trying to get teachers in the studio. So I went and I filled out an application and said, well, I can put off going to school this first semester. And this looks like a fun job, and I'll learn to do the hustle for free. And 38 years later, I'm still here. So I did my initial training class in Hartford, Connecticut. And during that process, I was not a very fast learner. And to this day, and you can ask my wife, she'll vouch for this as well, I'm not a talented dancer. I'm a person who's learned to be a good dancer because I worked hard and practiced, but I was not that person who is talented. So when I see people and staff and students in the beginning when they're learning, and they may not have this great aptitude for dancing right away. Hey, that's okay, because you can learn, you can still learn to be a great dancer. You don't have to be amazingly talented. So at the end of our training class, Mr. Verano, who was my franchisee at the time and a wonderful, wonderful man, brought me into his office, and he said, Bob, you just finished your training class, and I just want to let you know that Debbie and Kathy, the manager and the girl that ran my training class, don't seem to think you have what it takes to be a dance instructor.
What a thought.
Yes. So he just put that out to me, and he said, well, what do you think about that? And I just looked at him, and I thought for a second. I said, Mr. Verano, I'll still be here when they're all gone. And he said, what did you say to me? I said, I will still be here when they're all gone. I said, I'll still be here. Everybody else will be gone, and I'll still be here. And he just laughed, and he said, you know, he says, I think you have something. I don't know what it is. That's what he said to me, but you have something. And that was my beginning. And probably as a teacher, I think through sports or athletics, I always had a don't quit mentality or a don't quit attitude. And again, if you ask my wife that question, she would tell you the worst thing to tell me is to tell me that something can't be done. If somebody says, oh, you can't do that, or that doesn't work, or you can't make that happen, then I usually get on a binge to try to prove people wrong. So I think as I started out as a younger teacher, I was probably really too stupid to quit, and I had a point to prove that I was going to get through it. But along the way, I finally got it, and I got things to happen and actually learned, but it wasn't easy, and it took me a long time to learn how to dance.
Isn't that something? And now, are you from Connecticut?
I am originally from Connecticut, yes.
And now you're in New Mexico, but there's been a path that's moved you west. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, when I started in Hartford in my training class, and then when Mr. Verano had that conversation with him, he flat out told me, there's no job for you here in Hartford.
Okay.
We're not going to hire you here because, you know, Debbie and Kathy don't seem to think you've got the things to be a dance teacher. He says, however, I just bought another studio in New Haven, and I will send you to New Haven, but it's a 45-minute drive from Hartford, and I lived a half hour from Hartford to begin with, so it was a long drive every day. But if you want to teach, that's where you're going to have to go. There's no staff there. So you'll go in on the ground floor. For you, he said, that'll be lucky because you won't have these very advanced teachers around that, you know, to compare to or whatever, so you go there. So I ended up working in that studio in New Haven, and I actually taught in that studio for 5 years, and then eventually managed that studio for 3 years after that. But during that time, I kind of got the competitive dance bug a little bit. And I went from New Haven, Connecticut, from being a manager back to being a teacher again in Phoenix. And in the Phoenix studio, then I worked with the great Jack and Roz DeBev, as well as the great Bob Powers and the great David Woodbury. Steve Platt and Georgetta Platt had just left to open their own studio. So that's the lineage of people that came through that Phoenix school.
It's interesting because when we look at the dancing that we have today, a lot of it can be attributed back to Phoenix because some of the people who are extremely influential in our industry have come from the Phoenix school.
Yeah, and I think Jack DeBev as well is just teaching and studio operation. I think that Jack was such a great mentor and such a great studio operator at the time, and people who came through that school ended up really being trained very, very well. And a lot of successful people have come through that school in a large part due to Jack and Roz. I think I would describe myself as a dancer as better than most, not as good as some. You know what I mean?
Okay.
and meaning that, I've had a decent dancing career. People, you set goals in terms of what you want to accomplish and where you want to go. And for me being that guy that dancing was difficult to do, and people tell me that you'll never actually learn to be a good dancer, and going down the competitive path and struggling for the first few years, having fun, but struggling, my goal was to be a United States finalist. If I could make the final at the U.S. Championships, I thought that would be an extremely great goal for me to be able to do. And I was lucky enough to not only be able to make that final one time, but to make the U.S. final 3 times. And I thought that was really great. And then Cindy and I, later in our career, Cindy and I started dancing together. We had previous partners before that. And then Cindy and I were lucky enough to win the North American Ballroom Championship down the road. So we've had a little bit of success. My wife was much better dancer than I am, and I put a lead weight around her neck and dragged her to the bottom of the pool. No, not really, but I tell her that.
You know, it's interesting though, Bob, you talk about how it was a little bit more challenging for you to learn and how you really worked hard to become the great dancer that you are. Do you think that makes you a better teacher in ways?
Absolutely. I think that my success in teaching and development of dancing is through sometimes understanding how difficult dancing and teaching was for me, meaning that how difficult it was for me to learn. And then I always thought, well, maybe I'm not being taught in a way that makes sense to me as we go forward. So my thought process, again, going along, and as I said before, there are a lot of people who are much better dancers than I am. There are a lot of people who have accomplished a lot more things with their dancing and teaching and so on and so forth. My thing has always been that I've always been a really good specialist or a really good guy for teaching beginners. I always felt like I did a great job teaching people who didn't know how to dance at all because I was able to make it simple enough for them to go through. And I've never really changed my teaching process. And I don't think that it really changes even for me from teaching a brand new couple to dance or when I teach one of my professional couples to dance. I still think that there's neat things to learn by being simple as opposed to being complex and being complicated. And sometimes dancing can be complicated and be complex, but I think it doesn't help people learn sometimes if you can keep things simple. So if I've had a gift at doing things, it might be I have had a gift of keeping things simple and understanding how to make complex movements more simplistic.
And you know, I think that, of course, being the chairman of the dance board from Arthur Murray, that trickles down to us because we recognize the importance of being good dancers, of course, but more than that, the importance of being able to teach and to share our knowledge and impart it onto our students and make them great dancers. And I love the fact that Arthur Murray really puts a lot of emphasis on that.
Our focus at Arthur Murray is I think that there's 3 types of dancing that we teach at the studio. And I think first and foremost is what we call social dancing. I think that when people walk in our door, they're really interested in going to a nightclub, a dinner dance, a wedding, or a cruise, and getting up on the dance floor and feeling comfortable and feeling confident. And I think that's where we start. We start with that.
So here's what it looks like.
Studio dancing, or you come to the classes and the studio parties and everybody's a good dancer and everybody gets on the floor and has a good time. And then at some point in time, then it can also morph into competitive or competition dancing. But I don't think that that's our forefront. So when people walk in the door, our forefront is really how do we get these people to become better social dancers? And as they're having fun and enjoying that, then all of a sudden they enjoy the studio aspect of the parties and classes. And then they go, hey, you know, that competition thing sounds like fun, but to me it's all built on the social level of dancing. And I think it's really neat when not only our professionals, but our teachers who are great dancers are also really good social dancers. You know what I mean? That they can do both things. They can get out and tear it up on the competitive floor, but then also go out to a nightclub or dinner dance and look like they fit right in on that floor dancing social.
Don't go anywhere. There's more to come right here on the Ballroom Beat.
Everyone's story is different, so why be limited to just 1 or 2 options? With Norcom's Norflex Home Loan, you're given the flexibility to tell your story. Pick your terms from 8 to 30 years, all while maintaining a low, fixed mortgage rate. You can pay off your loan more quickly or choose a term based on your budget and timeline. Whatever you do with the Norflex Home Loan, make it part of your financial plan. Norflex. Short-term, long-term, your terms. Apply online at norcommortgage.com.
injured in a car crash, what would you do first? Who would you call?
You claim to be injured, yet you spoke to and saw an attorney before you saw a doctor. Is that true?
Yes.
Lawyers on TV tell you to call them first. You can, but should you? The law has changed, and you may find yourself paying your own medical bills if you don't see a doctor in the first 14 days. If you've been in a car crash, you need MyCrashMD, the interactive doctor visit, where you can consult virtually with a physician after you've been hurt in a car accident.
We can see you today. We'll take great care of you, regardless if you are at fault or not.
MyCrashMD is an actual medical visit with a doctor. No waiting in an ER, no wasting time driving around town. Download MyCrashMD free from anywhere and then see a doctor on any mobile device. Times are changing. If you don't get medical attention within the first 14 days after your crash, you could lose your insurance benefits. So if you've been in a car crash, help yourself and your accident case with MyCrashMD.
Welcome back to On the Ballroom Beat. You know, I've got to tell you, Bob Long is somebody who I have tremendous respect for and have admired my entire Arthur Murray career. It was such a delight to get to interview him, and there's still more headed your way. So here is the second half of my interview with the chairman of the Arthur Murray International Dance Board, Bob Long.
To talk to you a little bit about the fact that our syllabus that you've created is more of a curriculum rather than a pattern list. And we've spoken before about this, yes, where, you know, it's strategically designed to create good dancers, not just pattern dancers. Can you speak a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think that the design of a chart and a program is to not just teach people to dance or teach them dance steps, but to teach them how to become good dancers, period. Not good foxtrot dancers or good waltz dancers, but dancers, period. So teaching through the medalist system, you have to teach people skills about how to use their feet and how to hold their dance position, and how to put patterns together. And I think the way the chart is designed is, if we just follow it down the way that we teach it, it does all those things for you. So it's put together in a pretty painstaking method of how to introduce when and why. You introduce specific actions because they teach skills and body actions that anyone would need to become a good dancer. It's not a step list. It's a curriculum that gives you the skills that you need to go forward and become a good dancer.
And you've been the chairman of our dance board for quite some time, my entire Arthur Murray career. How long have you been in that position for us?
You know, I'm trying to think of the exact age, but it's close to 20 years, if it's not over that, but it's close to, it's maybe 18 to 20 years. I'd have to look at what the date is. The time has gone by so fast, and sometimes it seems like yesterday, so yeah. And it was a surprise to me.
I was going to ask, tell me about how you felt when you were offered that position.
It's kind of a funny story, because when I was initially offered the position, Mr. George Tice called me on the phone. And if you remember Mr. Tice, Mr. Tice had kind of a very gruff voice, and most of the time when George talked to you, you couldn't tell whether he was happy with you or mad at you when he talked to you. And he called, on one occasion, he called to complain about something that I was doing that he didn't like. And I didn't know what he was talking about. I went round and round with him about, George, I don't know what you're talking about. So you know good and well what I'm talking about. And it turns out that it wasn't me that he was thinking of. He got the name wrong, and he called to chew me out about something. He called to chew me out about something that wasn't me. And as I explained that to him, it was somebody else. He apologized and went on. And then some 6 months later, he called to tell me that he wanted to make me the assistant chairman of the dance board. And I was like, oh my God. And Cindy was like, you know, she answered the phone. It was George Tice. What does George Tice want? What does the president of the company want? I said, he wants to make me the assistant chairman of the dance board. You know what I'm saying? And then she goes, oh my God, that's so awesome. And as he continued to talk to me, I said, well, thank you very much, Mr. Tyson. I hung up the phone, and Cindy goes, oh, that's so awesome. I said, I think he meant to call somebody else. I said, I don't think it never this happened before. I don't think he was talking to me. I think that he meant to be calling somebody else. And 20 minutes later, the phone rang again. This time it's Mr. John Kimmins. And Mr. Kimmins, who is now the president of our company, says, you know, in his Australian accent, Bob, has George spoken to you? And I said, yes, he did. He said, I'm afraid he's made a terrible mistake. And I was like, oh, well, yes. I said, I'm aware, Mr. Kimmins, I'm aware that he made a mistake. And he said, well, how would you know that? And I said, well, I knew. And John says, I don't think you know at all. And I'm like, well, no, I do. He says, no. He says, because George called to make you the assistant chairman of the dance board. I said, yes, I know. He says, we have no intention of making you the assistant chairman of the dance board. We're going to make you the chairman of the dance board. And I said, I'm sorry, George, I don't understand that. And he said, he went on to explain that their original intention was to have Mr. Sam Sedano be the chairman of the dance board and me the assistant chairman. And then John, as he thought about it, said, no. He says, what I'll do, he says, is we'll actually just make two different titles, and we'll actually probably have Sam be the chairman of the International Dance Board and you be the chairman of the National Dance Board. And then since that time, the language changed to whatever, and that's basically what it was. So from that point, I became chairman of the dance board. Again, which I think in some regards surprised me, because I thought that perhaps there were people there who were better dancers and maybe more experienced doing certain things. But I think as things settled down, I think that John made that decision on me in that position because of my other experiences in the business, with formerly being a franchisee and being the manager of a studio and being a specialist and being a back department teacher and having more things to bring to the table than just being a competitive dancer.
Absolutely.
And I think that as well, I think that I've always tried to be with the dance board, not to be heavy-handed. I've tried to be really inclusive with everybody on the dance board, and we have some great people on our dance board that contribute greatly to what we do. And I think that my thing going forward was just trying to have a singular concept about what you're trying to accomplish.
Right.
So if you take everybody else's ideas and you melt them down to head in a similar direction, I think that's what we've done with our syllabus. So I think in having this singular vision of where to move with the dancing and how to go through it, this is the first time I think with the company, with our syllabus, that we've had one thought process from bronze to gold and now gold bar. So I've been able to oversee all of that all the way through and hopefully try to weave the things together from bronze to silver to gold bar, so that it has a very even flow all the way through. And then also was my thought process that the syllabus needs to be curriculum based as opposed to maybe choreography based or pattern based. That's curriculum based, and I've tried to maintain that all the way through our concept.
I remember as a teacher, before the syllabus had been adjusted, that a lot of the gold patterns did feel like if you didn't know the choreography, you really couldn't dance.
Yeah,
them.
they were really interesting things, and they looked really neat on the dance floor. But I think at some point in time, that syllabus moved away from the application of social dancing. Now, some people might look and say, "Oh, it's gold stuff anyway." I said, however, I think the way that 90% of that stuff is designed on a gold syllabus, you can still dance it. It's leadable and followable. Does it make sense?
Yes.
And that's, to me, that's an important concept of dancing. If you're going to have something in your syllabus, it should be able to be led and followed and not just memorized where to move to.
Can you talk a little bit about the development of the syllabus, especially when we add new dances, what the process is like?
Sure. We've got on the dance board, we have several different committees on the dance board that oversee certain things. Like there's a competition committee, there's an invigilation committee, there's a certification committee, there's an ethics committee, there's an emerging dance committee. And in our emerging dance committee, those committee members kind of keep an eye out and see, hey, what's happening, what's new, what's going on. Then they bring that stuff back to the dance board and say, hey, Zouk, this is really cool, it's interesting, it's different, should we do something with it? And then the dance board sits down and decides if we're going to make something happen with it. Now, almost every week there's a new dance, right? There's some new craze out there, and then we have to decide, is it worth the time and effort to work on that? And by the time we get that syllabus done, is that fad dance going to be over with, or is it going to be something that's long lasting? So we've tried, and during my tenure as chairman of the dance board, we've added more dances than we've ever had in our company syllabus before, because I think initially Cindy and I came in doing country western, and then West Coast swing, and then Argentine tango, and then adding Lindy Hop, and then adding, Peabody, and then adding Balboa, and then so we have a lot of stuff. We have a lot of stuff out there, and some of it is not as mainstream as others, but I think it just makes us more interesting and up to date as a dance studio, that somebody can come in and we're relevant. We have these dances that people are looking for.
And is there anything that you would like to give as advice to students who maybe feel a little bit frustrated at the beginning and are not sure that they can really complete this dance journey?
Well, I think that feelings of frustration or difficulty are actually good feelings. And if you feel that way, that's a good thing. It means that you care what the end result looks like, and most people don't want to look foolish. They don't want to look silly up on the floor. My thought process for those people would be, sometimes you have to kind of get through those little tough parts in the beginning where it's difficult or not as easy. I think the advantage that you have of being in an Arthur Murray studio is that you have both staff and a student body who are going to be supportive of what you're learning to do. Nobody's going to throw vegetables at you. Nobody's going to take a big hook and pull you off the floor, if you don't do something right. And if you do fall down, someone will pick you up. Someone will pick you up, they'll dust you off, say, okay, let's try that again. So I think because the way that we teach, we're very encouraging about getting people to move forward. And people have very different ability levels, and some people learn at a very fast clip, and some people take their time learning. But I think it's part of our training process also with our staff is to train our staff. We do train our staff on how to handle those both extremes. How do you handle this person who's really fast, and then what do you do with this person over who's picking up a little slower? And generally the person that picks it up slower may not have a music background, may not have a dance background before, and sometimes maybe hasn't even really done a lot of athletic things maybe in their life before. So now we've got to teach that person just the idea or concept of moving their body. And people that are quicker either have athletics or they have music or they've done some kind of dance before, and it seems, oh, look at them go. Well, you know what? They just have experience. That's really all it is. Yeah. So when you're newer and you got to struggle through it a little bit, but try to enjoy having fun. Don't get worked up about making a mistake, because we all make them. And we, even as an advanced dancer, you still make mistakes when you're going through. And we just try to make the mistakes less and less each time we go forward. That's all.
And one last question for you. Advice for a staff member who wants to be able to build their career in Arthur Murray on the dancing side, as you have done as a coach, as an adjudicator, as a
Absolutely. I think it's one of the greatest things that we have in Arthur Murray with staff is the career opportunities that are here. And it doesn't matter who you are as a dance teacher. The career opportunities are limitless, and you can take it both directions. You can take it more into the business or management side. You can take it into the dancing side, wherever you want to go. And both ways are fine. And then I think a lot of us are still both sides as well, because I'm a franchisee as well. So I'm a franchisee as well, and I came up through the business being a counselor in a studio, being a supervisor in a studio, being a manager in a studio. So you get all of that experience, which helps maybe make you a better trainer again, even with staff. But even if they want to go the dance direction, they could work toward being a competitor or a certified examiner. The other thing that I think that people don't look at is this business. What a great business from the business side this is for women. And how many female franchisees. I'm looking at one right now. I'm looking at a female franchisee right now who is doing this on her own, whose husband doesn't have anything to do with the business. Does that make sense? That you're here on your own. Now you have a lot of the women franchisees whose husbands are also like Cindy and I. Well, she's a franchisee as well. We're in the business and we do that together. But I would say that we have as many, if not more, female franchisees than male franchisees. You know, you count the couples as female franchisees as well. We probably have more female franchisees, and what a great opportunity. There is no glass ceiling on that, and it's a great opportunity for the young ladies in our business to go forward, that they don't have just the dance route to go, but they can actually be very successful in running and operating their own studio like you.
Thank you very much, Bob. Well, listen, thank you so much for being here this weekend. It has been such a pleasure having you in Palm Harbor, a pleasure having you on the Ballroom Beat.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting us get to know
The
you a little
pleasure
bit
has
better.
been mine. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
And again, thank you for joining us on the Ballroom Beat.
Thank you.
A big thank you again to Bob Long for coming to judge our Glass Slipper Gala and also take some time to chat with us on the Ballroom Beat. It was such a pleasure to get to interview such a great man. I also want to let you know that we will be taking a holiday break from On the Ballroom Beat, but that doesn't mean that you have to. We have got all sorts of great episodes that are going to be rerun for you during the holiday season, featuring interviews with some Arthur Murray celebrities. In December, we're going to have Patty Contenta, Stephen Smith. We'll get a little Christmassy with you and play our Christmas special that week of Christmas, and then finish the month with Rosalinda Cardinale. Then when we move into January, we're going to have some more interviews featured. We'll start with Jimmy Mulligan, then we'll move to Peru, Alfredo Di Natale, Jessica Holte, creator of the Zouk syllabus, and we will finish out with this episode, our chairman of the dance board, Bob Long. So make sure that you stay tuned to On the Ballroom Beat during the holiday season. And from all of us here on the Ballroom Beat, and on behalf of all of us and also our Arthur Murray Palm Harbor family, we want to wish you and your family a safe, happy, and healthy holiday with plenty of dancing. See you next year on the Ballroom Beat.
Cha-cha on the Ballroom Beat. Whoa, 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 cha-cha on the Ballroom Beat. You got 2 left feet, get on the Ballroom Beat. They're dancing in the street, they're on the Ballroom Beat. We can tango, we can swing, we can do anything, walking through the door and waltz on the floor. You wanna feel the heat, get on the Ballroom Beat. Cha-cha on the Ballroom Beat, foxtrot on the Ballroom Beat, salsa on the Ballroom Beat.